There is a strange kind of happiness that comes from telling people what you're going to become. It feels warm. It feels exciting. It almost feels real. Someone smiles at you. Another tells you how talented you are. A friend says, "I always knew you could do it." And for a moment, your heart believes the journey has already begun. But then something invisible happens. The excitement fades. The applause disappears. And the dream that once burned like fire becomes nothing more than another forgotten thought. Why? Why do so many people abandon the goals they once spoke about with such confidence? The answer isn't found in success. It isn't found in failure. It's hidden somewhere much quieter. This is the story of a man who spent years chasing admiration, until he discovered that true greatness grows where no one is watching. At the foot of a towering mountain stood the city of Ashmore. Unlike other cities, Ashmore was famous for one thing: stone. Every street, every bridge, every fountain, every monument had been carved from the pale gray cliffs surrounding the city. Visitors traveled from distant kingdoms just to admire the breathtaking sculptures that decorated every corner. Some statues looked so lifelike that children believed they would begin walking after sunset. Others were so detailed that people could almost hear them breathe. For generations, Ashmore had produced the greatest sculptors in the land. Among them lived a young apprentice named Elias. From the day he first picked up a hammer and chisel, Elias believed he was destined to create something the world would never forget. He dreamed of carving a masterpiece so extraordinary that kings would travel across continents just to see it. He imagined crowds standing in silence before his work. He imagined artists studying every mark he made. He imagined his name being remembered long after he was gone. But Elias carried a habit that quietly stole every opportunity from him. Whenever inspiration arrived, he couldn't keep it to himself. The moment an idea entered his mind, he rushed to tell everyone. One spring morning, he burst into the city's busy market with excitement shining in his eyes. "I've finally found it," he shouted. Merchants looked up from their stalls. Children stopped chasing pigeons. Even travelers paused to listen. "The greatest sculpture ever created will soon stand in this city." The crowd laughed with delight. "What will it look like?" someone asked. "It will be taller than the town hall," Elias replied proudly. "It will tell the story of courage. It will become the symbol of Ashmore itself." People surrounded him with smiles. "You've always had talent. We'll be the first to see it." "I can't wait." For the rest of the day, strangers congratulated him wherever he walked. Some shook his hand. Others imagined where the statue would stand. That evening, Elias returned to his small workshop feeling like the most important artist in the city. He hadn't carved a single line into stone. Yet somehow, he already felt successful. The next morning, he stood before a massive block of marble. Its smooth surface reflected the morning sunlight. This was where the dream had to begin. He lifted his hammer, then stopped. What if I ruin it? What if it isn't as magnificent as I described? What if everyone expects too much? He lowered the hammer. "I'll begin tomorrow." Tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. The marble remained untouched. Eventually, dust settled across its surface. No masterpiece was ever born. Months later, Elias wandered through the royal gardens. There he watched gardeners carefully shaping trees into incredible living sculptures. Branches curved like dancing birds. Leaves formed graceful arches. Flowers bloomed in perfect patterns. A new dream filled his heart. "This," he whispered, "I'll become the greatest garden artist in the kingdom." Instead of learning quietly, he announced it to everyone. Again, the city praised him. Again, people admired his ambition. Again, he returned home, believing success was already within reach. But when the first morning of work arrived, the shears felt heavy. The trees looked difficult. The excitement had vanished. Within days, the dream disappeared like smoke carried away by the wind. Years passed. The pattern repeated itself over and over again. Some years, Elias dreamed of building magnificent fountains. Other years, he planned to carve royal palaces. He spoke beautifully. He imagined brilliantly. He inspired everyone around him. But his workshop remained strangely silent. Tools gathered rust. Stone gathered dust. Dreams gathered excuses. One autumn evening, Elias walked through the city's Hall of Masters. Inside stood the greatest sculptures Ashmore had ever produced. Each masterpiece carried the name of its creator. People stood quietly, admiring the incredible craftsmanship. Children pointed with wonder. Travelers sketched the statues in notebooks. Elias searched every pedestal. Every famous name belonged to someone else, not his. His chest tightened. He realized something that hurt more than failure itself. He wasn't being defeated by other artists. He wasn't lacking talent. He was being defeated by his own words. As he left the hall, rain began falling from the dark sky. The streets emptied. The city grew silent. Elias wandered without knowing where he was going until he reached the oldest part of Ashmore. There, tucked between forgotten stone buildings, stood a tiny workshop unlike any other. No sign hung above its door. No customers waited outside. No statues decorated the entrance. Only the steady rhythm. Tap, 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 echoed softly from inside. Curious, Elias stepped closer. An elderly sculptor sat alone beneath the glow of a single lantern. His clothes were covered with fine white dust. His hands were rough from decades of work. Without looking up, the old man spoke. "You've been standing there for quite some time." Elias was startled. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to disturb you." The old sculptor smiled gently. "You didn't." He continued carving without another word. Elias watched in silence. Minute after minute passed. The old man's movements were calm, patient, almost peaceful. Every strike of the chisel seemed deliberate, not rushed, not dramatic, simply certain. Finally, Elias asked, "Master, why have I never heard of you?" The old man chuckled softly. "Because I've spent my life speaking to stone instead of crowds." Elias frowned. He didn't understand. The old sculptor finally looked up. His eyes carried the calmness of someone who no longer needed to prove anything. Then he asked a question that would change Elias's life forever. "Tell me, do you enjoy creating masterpieces? Or imagining people applauding them?" Elias opened his mouth to answer, but no words came. For the first time, someone had seen straight through him. The old sculptor's question hung in the air like the last note of a song. "Do you enjoy creating masterpieces? Or imagining people applauding them?" Elias lowered his eyes. For the first time in years, he had no clever answer. The old man brushed the stone dust from his hands and stood. "Come back tomorrow before sunrise," he said. "If you truly want to know why your dreams keep disappearing, bring your strongest arms and your quietest mind." Without another word, he extinguished the lantern. The workshop fell into darkness. Long before dawn, Elias returned. The city still slept beneath a blanket of mist. Only the distant sound of a river and the chirping of early birds broke the silence. The old sculptor was already awake. Two enormous blocks of marble rested outside the workshop. They were nearly identical. Same size, same color, same weight. The old man pointed to the first stone. "This one belongs to you." Then he pointed to the second. "This one belongs to the town." Elias looked confused. "The town?" The old sculptor smiled. "You'll understand." They loaded the first block onto a wooden cart and wheeled it deep into the forest beyond the mountain trails. After nearly an hour, they reached a small clearing hidden among towering pine trees. No roads, no houses, no visitors, only the whisper of wind moving through the branches. The old man gently placed the marble inside a simple wooden shed. "No one comes here," he said. "No one will see what happens inside." Then he locked the door. "Return every evening after your work. Carve whatever your heart desires. But promise me one thing." Elias nodded. "What is it?" "Tell no one." They returned to the city carrying the second block. Instead of hiding it, the old sculptor placed it directly in the busiest square in Ashmore. Merchants gathered around. Children climbed onto nearby benches. Curious travelers stopped to watch. The old man hung a wooden sign above the untouched stone. It read, "Soon this will become the greatest sculpture Ashmore has ever seen." People gasped. What will it be? Who is carving it? When will it be finished? The old sculptor simply smiled. "You'll see." Within hours, the entire city was talking about the mysterious masterpiece. Some imagined a giant king. Others guessed it would become a heroic warrior. Children argued over what it might look like. Every day, people visited the square. Every day, they admired a block of untouched stone. Meanwhile, each evening, Elias quietly disappeared into the forest. He carried only his tools. No audience, no applause, no praise, only silence. The first night, he stood staring at the marble. His hands trembled. There was no crowd waiting, no one expecting greatness. Only him. He struck the stone. A small piece broke away. The sound echoed through the empty forest. Tap, tap, tap. Each strike felt different.